So we put our new tire on, we have our new tire and our rim all ready to go, but what we need to do now is we need to add weight so the wheel doesn't move, because if the weight is unbalanced, our wheel will move up and down and side to side, and we might get a death wobble or something that might cause a lot of damage to the car quickly, as well as the tire. So what we are going to do, we're going to lay our tire to the side so we can walk over here, and we have two types of weights that we're going to be putting on a tire. We have a wheel weight that is like this that we hammer on, and we have a sticky weight, wheel weight, that we will stick on the inside of the rim here. So if I bring my tire over, you can see the remnants of what was once wheel weights on the inside here, and you can see a hammered on one that is currently being used to balance this tire. Now, before we removed our other tire, what we should have done was remove the weights. This one has been used as our test tire, so this one has weights on it. So first step we're going to do is remove any weights. If we have sticky weights, we have this scraper tool that we will use to scrape the inside off and get rid of any weights. And if we have no sticky weights, what we're going to use is we're going to use this hammer that has a separate side, that has a clamping side that we're going to use to remove weights. So I have my weight on the back side here. I'm going to bring it up to the top so I can access it. It has this groove in the center, and I have this little tooth in the middle here that is made for that groove. So I'm going to clamp down onto the groove. I'm going to make sure I'm only grabbing the weight, and I'm going to wiggle back and forth, up and down, and kind of pull out, and my wheel weight will come off. So I'm going to take my wheel weight, and I will dispose of it unless it's not beat up, in which I might keep it for later. If you're working on staff cars or any real car in the industry, we will get rid of it, but because we're working on cars in the shop, we will keep it for now. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, check for any weights, which I have one right here. I'm going to clamp down, just as I did before. I'm going to wiggle back and forth, and sometimes it takes a few tries, which is okay. It's not an easy thing to do, and you are going to pry the wheel weight off. So I'm going to grab, I'm going to wiggle a little bit, and I'm going to give it some elbow grease and try and pry it off. Once you've removed your part, which sometimes can be difficult, and we are here to help you if you have problems with that, you are going to now be able to mount your tire. But before we can mount it, we need something called a collet. All of our collets are right here, and they are essentially what holds the tire onto the machine, because we can't have the same sized rim hole for every tire. It's not realistic. So what we do is we make collets that fit for every different type of size that might exist. So I'm going to try this size, and we're going to see if it fits. The part that is colorful is going to be on the inside, sticking out. And the part that is smaller and narrower is the part that we want to stick out, because that's what the tire is going to sit on. So I'm going to try and put it through here. And as you can see, it goes straight through. It's too small. So we're going to put this one back, and we're going to try different sizes. So I'm going to grab this orange one. And again, I'm putting it in like this, with the tire facing this way. Colors on the back end. And I am going to try and fit it through. And as you can see, I can't push it through, but it will rest on there nicely without falling off. So I will grab my collet, and with my color side facing the inside of the machine, I'm going to grab the color side and slide this onto the threaded rod. Now that I've slid this onto the threaded rod, I might want to grab a partner so I don't hurt myself, because sometimes tires can be bigger and heavier and we don't want anyone getting hurt. And they will assist you in lifting the tire, bring it over to the machine. And what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm not doing this side, because this is the side that everyone's going to see. We want to measure by doing the other side, the inside of the rim. So I'm going to lift this up again, slide this on, make sure I'm lined up with the holes. I'm going to rest that on there. Now this is where I might want to have a partner holding the part of the tire on. Well, I grab this wing nut with a rubber protector sleeve, and I'm going to lay this on like this, and I'm going to thread this on by hand. This will hold the tire on while it is on the machine, and hold it to the collet which we don't want moving around, right? So I'm gonna hold my wheel and tighten it down. As I start getting closer and tighter, I'm gonna grab this foot pedal. This is our brake, and also how we input any information we might need. For now, we're gonna push down really hard on it, all the way down, and we're gonna activate the brake that way. And we are going to push to make sure it is as tight as possible. If you want to have a person or a partner hold the tire while you do this as well, it makes life a little easier. So my tire is mounted down. It's not going anywhere, which is exactly what we want. And now we can start looking for our information that we might need. So when looking at our information, we're going to hit this button here. This button is our wheel dimensions, because before we can actually measure the weight of the tire, we need to know the size of the tire. So we need to know the inner diameter, the width, the inner diameter of the rim, and the outer diameter of the rim with the tire on. And then this is just the inner circumference. So what I'm going to do is I have two tools that I'm going to use. I have this tool here, which I can lift up, and my screen will tell me what to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first use this tool and move it to the place that it tells me to put it, which is right here on this rim, and you can see that on the screen. And then it tells you you're going to hit your foot pedal and just tap it. So I'm going to step back here and hit my foot pedal, and it will tell me it saved my information if I hit the dimensions button. And you can see one of my dimensions are inputted. Now I'm going to grab this tool, which is on the right side, and this is another measuring tool that we use. We're going to bring it down, and we're going to measure here. Same spot that we did on the other side, but just with this side of the tool. And that's going to tell us our rim size as well as the thickness of that tire, right? So I hit my foot pedal, and it gives us our dimensions, which is what we want. We don't really need the outer diameter because our tire is good. And one thing I do want to warn you of is if you bring this down and over, it will tell you a different dimension. It's also telling you that you're measuring the top part. That is if you were to use sticky weights, which we don't want to use. So I could put these in. And now my measurements have changed, but they're adjusted for my sticky weights, which I don't want. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset both of those. Now I can do this if I wanted to and do both at the same time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this weight and this weight, where I'm in the same spot on both sides, just like we did earlier. I'm going to find my foot pedal. I'm going to press it, and it's going to save my information. And if we look at our dimensions, we are not good to go. So we're going to go one more time. And sometimes you need to make sure you return this to its rightful place, otherwise it will cause problems. So we're going to do this, bring this over. And the way I can tell I'm doing the correct weights is if I look up here, see how it's on the outside and it's clamping like our weights were in our little rim. So this is our little tire, and then that's where our rims and our weights are going, just like we want in real life. So I'm going to make sure I have that before I start hitting my foot pedal. I'm going to line this up in the right spot. Check. Foot pedal. Bring this back to its location. Bring this over. Just like I did before. Hit my foot pedal. And now I have my proper measurements for the job I am doing, which is adding the hammer-on weights. So now I have all my stuff. We're going to make sure this screen shows a red mark where this wheel is. This is if we wanted to measure road force, which is sometimes useful. But for tires that we're using in the shop and for now, when we're working on tires, we're just going to remove road force because sometimes it can cause problems. So we're going to tap it a couple times until we see the red X. I can now lower my hood, and this will protect me from any damage. I'm going to step back just in case anything happens, and I'm going to let the machine do its job and read the weight of the tire that is needed. So it is fun. It automatically tells me that, hey, your movement is either too static or too coupling. Static is up and down. It's going up and down way too much. And coupling is it moves side to side a lot, which is not good. Both are not good to have on a tire. We don't want our car jumping up and down. That'll ruin the tire more and put more wear and tear on it. And it wobbling side to side will cause wear like this. If we look at this tire was not properly balanced, or it was overinflated. And you can see on the outsides we have more tread than on the inside because it was wobbling and it was unbalanced properly. Or improperly balanced. So what we're going to do is we're going to now balance it so this doesn't happen again. But this tire is essentially pretty useless because it's already down to its bare tread depth. I'm going to grab the weights that I need. So I need, as it says on screen, a 1.5 and a 1.5. I'm going to prep those ahead of time so I don't have to find both of them. Here's one now. That's not one. And I'm going to look for one until I find the right size. These are a little unorganized, and maybe we could fix that later on. But for now, we have our two weights that we need, our two 1.5s. They're the same size. And it says 1.5 on the left-hand side. The right-hand side is for a different measurement that you might use in other countries. But in the US, we use ounces or inches and pounds and all that great stuff. So we're going to grab this hammer. We're going to line up our weight with the laser that is currently shining down. So there's a laser that goes across and drops down. I can put my finger here and you can see where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to line up my weight with that laser. I'm going to lay that in place so it's as center as possible. And I am now going to tap on my weight. In order to not pinch our hands, we're just going to be as careful as possible. We can tap until it's just barely in, or we can push in with our hands if we feel confident with that. And we're going to tap until it is flush with the rim. Now that that is done on this side, we have this side done, which is the inside of the rim. So I'm now going to tap the outside of the rim. And I'm going to grab my same weight that I need, which is 1.5 ounces. I'm going to walk over to this side, and just as before, I have my laser that lines up everything. So I'm going to line it up. I'm going to tap it in place, just like I did before, where I'm going to be careful not to hurt my finger because I don't want to hurt myself. I'm going to actually wrap around this side because my dominant hand is my right hand. If your non-dominant hand is the other hand, you can swap sides. I'm going to tap it so it's just hanging on. And then I'm going to tap it in place so it is flush on both sides. If I was to really make sure, I'm going to hammer it down really hard, but because this is a shop tire, I don't want to go crazy and do anything too much. So I'm now going to lower my hood again to check my weight and my balance to make sure it is proper. And if I get two okays, I'm good to go. If I have another weight, then I have messed up in my alignment and I need to remove and retry.